It's the SKOR North Twins Show. Baseball.
We're gonna win, Twins. We're gonna
Let's pump some positivity. We've already done too many negative shows this week. I know Judd's not going to abide by that. That's fine. I don't think we should. It's a Trevor Plouffe Tuesday on a Wednesday here on the SKOR North Twins Show. Our guy Trevor Plouffe, former Minnesota Twin from John Boy Media. You can find his playoff-related podcasts every day. But we just want, I think we've kind of set our piece on this show the last couple days. Our Monday episode was definitely a scathing one, reading through the Joe Pohlad quotes. But the big news today, Trev, is David Popkins is the first, I guess, scapegoat shoe to drop here. So hitting coach out. But wherever you want to start with this thing as we go through our 2024 Twins burial, man.
This is my first sip of coffee of the day. I think I need it now.
Judd's on cup five.
Cup 5, Trev.
Oh, man. I honestly don't know where to start. We could start with Pop, and I think Showman's also said that he's let go as well. So that's the most thankless position in maybe Major League Sports is a Major League hitting coach. The things that they have to do, the time that they have to spend with guys. And I really was actually talking to Morneau about this a little bit yesterday. As he was the one that told me that happened. I didn't see anything online. I thought that Pop was good for the team. I think that he really put the work in. Like, he was there, and that's really like the first thing that you can ask of a hitting coach is, are you going to be there for me when I need you to be? And he was. He was a grinder. He was in the cage all the time. I think he had the tools and the knowledge to get things done. But it's just one of those positions where, if the guys don't hit, there's sometimes a hitting coach, there's nothing you can do. Like, it's so much of it is mental. And I guess that's the only place I could go with, okay, what was he lacking? And it was, I guess, experience in those situations throughout a slump. I don't think he has a lot of that. That's the only thing. But I actually liked him as a person, and I thought he was a good hitting coach. But again, that's just one of those positions where it's the easiest to point to, and the turnover there is crazy. But it wouldn't shock me if he was working somewhere else very quickly. I think he's got the knowledge, and it just, I don't know, man. It's just one of those positions where it seems like that's always the first guy to go is the hitting coach.
Yeah.
Given the nature of the meltdown, Trevor, whether Popkins deserved it or not, this feels like a scapegoat to me. Like, this feels like, among all the things that went wrong, and I could have seen, there were times in 2023 and at the start of this year where I could have seen them saying, we're not effective enough at the plate. I don't like our approach. We're going to make a change there. So I'm not saying that Popkins deserves some type of free pass, but I am saying that if this is one of the key moves, seeing what we saw, I don't know that this sits well. I feel like they're trying to find a fall guy more so than actually address overall problems.
Yeah, well, I don't think this is some sort of move that's going to satisfy those fans that want to see a head on a spike, right? Like this,
right?
It doesn't really get the job done. So I don't know if was the intention of this firing, but it definitely, I don't think. I agree. There were so many things that went wrong with the Minnesota Twins this year, specifically at the end of the year, that you could point every single finger you could point at somebody. You know what I mean? So it's been a couple of days. I've had some time to think about. I'm sure you guys have too. It's just everything from the beginning of the season, cutting payroll, to not having room at the trade deadline, to not keeping guys healthy, to really some of the decisions around the starting pitching that they had to make because of the payroll reduction. That went bad. The TV deal went sour. I think that was one of the worst things for Twins fans was they couldn't watch the team.
Yeah.
For 3 months during the year. That was a huge mistake. There's so many things that went wrong. I don't think you can sit and blame all the young guys, because dude, it's hard, and you're gonna have struggles, and you're gonna have to figure those out. And when you have I say that, and I look at the Brewers and the Tigers in the playoffs right now. I don't know, man. Like there's just this. There's a lot to unpack. It's again hard to just point your finger at one thing.
Trev, what do you make of those comments between like Correa and even Rocco? Basically, kind of, it seems like those two and a lot of the veterans are putting more of the blame on the younger guys' preparation, and for sure, I think that is part of the piece of pie, one of the many pieces of pie due to the Twins' demise over the last 6 weeks. But I mean, it felt like the clubhouse by the end of it. You have Correa saying the young guys aren't prepping. You have Royce Lewis saying, "Well, I guess we're at fault here and we're the cheap guys." Like, it felt to me like the locker room was just like at an all-time impasse and frustration, not just because of the play, but also because of everything that was happening. And I got to imagine that's like a little awkward. It's a good time to pause and go away, I guess, from each other. But what is that dynamic like starting next year? I feel like that's such a weird spot to be in.
Hey, just to read the Royce quote that Declan references, because it's like,
yeah, I didn't really understand where he was going with that quote, but go ahead. Yeah.
So yeah, he's being asked about Carlos and even Rocco talking about the younger players needing to learn how to prepare and just be more professional. And Royce said, "I guess it kind of falls on obviously the players, the collapse, but I didn't realize it was just on us. Now I know that we're going to carry a lot of the load, especially the young guys. The cheap guys is the best way to put it, that it's on us, the cheap guys." He says it sort of sarcastically. Interesting.
That's the word I think everyone's gravitating towards. I don't know. So about the preparation, everyone has a different routine. And when the routine is working, no one questions it whatsoever. But when you go through a prolonged period of slumping, everyone points to, are you actually doing every single thing that you can to be, to have success? And being around the clubhouse, at least when I was, and I wasn't there every single day, but I was there quite a bit. I don't know what else these guys could have been doing. They're all out there. They're in the cage. They have their cage routine. They have their hitters meetings. They go out there and everyone takes, the early stuff on the side with Tony Diaz. Then they go out there and throw across the diamond. So as far as preparation, I'm not really sure what that would allude to. Is it getting in the gym and making sure that you're healthy and all these things? I mean, it seemed like they were doing everything they can. Again, I'm not privy to, being there at all times, but I don't know. I mean, what was Rocco? Was there more into it? What Rocco was saying about them not preparing? Because to be honest with you, yes, as a player, you need to take ownership of what you're doing, and you have to, establish your routine. At the same time, if you're a coach and you feel like someone isn't doing it, the time to say it is now, during the season, not after the season. Hey, you weren't preparing. It's like, well, it's your job to go and get somebody back on track. That's the whole point of coaching.
Yeah.
Right. Rocco said after, I think it was Trevor, after the Thursday game, but before the weekend debacle against the O's, I think he was asked about, the lack of production at the plate, and basically said, we're giving them a good plan. So like they're being like, our plan is good. It's not being executed. Now he didn't. And at that point in time, he did not call out players in particular or like the young guys or the old guys. But his point was like, we're setting them up to succeed. And then some of them, not all of them, aren't seeing that through. So at the end of the day, there were fingers going everywhere.
Yeah, they really were.
I mean, Carlos, and here's the problem too. And tell me if you think I'm wrong about this. Carlos carries a tremendous amount of weight. He is the de facto captain, but he hadn't played for 2 months. So he's going to come back and now blame the young guys who have been trying to play. It just felt like a lot of fracture there. And I don't know that Rocco necessarily has the people skills to help that one along.
That's kind of what a manager has to have in spades. You have to be able to, handle a bunch of different personalities. And my problem is I don't think, like, if he's talking about like a blanket plan at the plate, I don't think it works. I don't think you can have one plan for every single person. And you have to be able to, again, it's like some guys need that. At the plate, they need to have the very focused, This is how I'm going to attack the hitter or the pitcher. This is what I'm going to do. Other guys don't want that at all. They just need to feel good about themselves, confident in themselves, whether that means they need to go get their cage routine in or they need to watch themselves hit a bunch of homers before the game. Like everyone has something different that gets them ready for the game. And I think that, and I don't know if I'm off on this, but I was around the team a lot. I feel like there was a blanket plan and I don't think it works that way. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, Carlos Correa, just to put his specific comments out from a couple days ago, he did say, hey, if there's anyone to blame me for going down for 2 months and not being part of the team. I think that's one of the main reasons. But then he gets into the more guys that we can get on board and actually put in the work to actually take this seriously, to actually sacrifice a lot to get better, then we're going to end up being a better team. If guys just receive that message and they're motivated for a week or two, the message sits with them for a minute, then we're going nowhere. So, and then like the real comments from Sunday that had Twins fans up in arms more than anything were probably Joe Pohlad. So Joe is very notably not a media guy. Like Joe, I mean, he's ran media businesses, but I mean, he's not a get in front of the camera and feel comfortable spinning a yarn, and he's very uncomfortable in that setting. And Aaron Gleeman from The Athletic pushed him with a few questions about, so Aaron said, hey, you said that you have to make business decisions, but does a sports franchise necessarily need to be treated like a typical business, or can you treat it as a bigger part of the community and you are the stewards of this thing, or do you have to run it like your other businesses? And Joe said, I view my job as running our business on behalf of this team and for our fans. I'm trying to manage our business so that we can put out a winning team both in the short and the long term. Sometimes things come up. I'm not going to get into them, and decisions have to be made. I'm not going to get into those decisions, but he continues and says, everybody owns this a little bit, and I played a role in that. It's very well documented, this payroll decision, as I kind of reflect on my role in this. We were at an all-time high in payroll last year. Fans were all in. Players were all in. We were headed down a great direction, and then I had to make a very difficult business decision. That's just the reality of my world. I have a business to run. Business. I have a business to run, and it comes with tough decisions, and that's what I had to do. I wouldn't make any other decision because that's the position that we were in. And that landed very poorly with Twins fans, Coach Trev.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how it would land poorly. And, I know Joe and I know Jim. I think Joe's probably a little bit better with talking to the media than Jim is. So maybe they're kind of headed in the right direction there. I do agree with, I mean, we don't know the whole story. I think that's the thing. Maybe there is some stuff going on that we don't know about financially, and they'd had to make this business decision. But I've always been, I think that owning a sports team is not like just any other business. One, because you do take in public funding for your stadium. And if you're taking public funding for your stadium, I think there is some sort of give back that you need to have. And not only that, if you're really just thinking about strictly as a business and you're saying, hey, X's and O's, dollars, cents, all these things, part of owning a sports team is having the people that are going to show up to your games behind it. Like you have, like they rely on gate, they rely on, buzz, all these things. So you have to continue to generate that. And sometimes that means you got to, maybe you have to overextend yourself. We've seen that through other franchises. We surely have seen it in San Diego, and the fans have come out in droves. So there are examples of that. I think that, there's that delicate balance of, hey, look, there was a TV deal that went awry, and maybe something else happened behind the scenes. So we do need to figure out some way to save some money this year. I'm not doubting that happened. But you have to walk this fine line of, okay, let's figure that out while still keeping the fan base happy, that's the bread and butter. Like, yeah, you got to put a winning product on the team on the field. And there's a lot of different payrolls that have done that. The Guardians have a lower payroll. The Tigers have a lower payroll. I think the Brewers probably have a lower payroll. You could probably go on and on. So, I mean, there lies that problem. But again, I think that and again, Joe's been great to me, I think, but when you own a baseball team or a sports team and you're taking public funding for for the stadium. I think it can't be treated just as strictly as any other business. Like it's a different type of business. And again, like if you treat it just like that, you're going to lose the fans, and then that business is going to get worse for you. So I think you have to keep that in mind. Like, even if you want to say some stuff like that, like, don't like just.
That's the thing.
Put some better quotes out there.
Right.
Even if, I mean, I feel bad saying it, even if your actions don't match your words, like your words are what people are reading. I think you just got to be really cognizant of the fan perspective, and that is something that I think that's got to be at the forefront of your mind, man. Like these are your customers, right?
You need them to love you. Like you just said it. You rely on gate, you rely on TV ratings, and even if you do have to scale back a little behind the scenes, if your front message is, "Hey, we have a standard here. We want to win championships." And that's kind of what I said to these guys a couple days ago, which is I would have not hid this press conference on a Sunday, NFL Sunday, Vikings are playing. I would have come out on a wide open Tuesday and invited cameras and everything and just said, "Hey, these last 12 months, man, it's on me. It's on me. I'm the owner. I'm a Pohlad. I'm the owner of this team, and our goal is to win a championship, and we're going to do some self-scouting and self-evaluating, and we'll see where this comes out in a few months from now." But it's like, even if you do have to scale back again because your TV deal is uncertain, but you need to connect with the fans on that level, and it's not hitting on that way.
I agree. I mean, yes. Well, there's owners throughout the sport who have really done a good job of connecting with the fans. I think I always point to one guy. It's the guy in Philadelphia, John Middleton.
Yeah.
Like he seems to understand that role, and maybe that's a learned trait, and maybe that'll come. But I think it's important, man. I think if you have a sports team that you root for, and the owner seems like he kind of gets you, like I feel like you buy in so much more to that team. Like, this guy's got our back. Like it means a lot. So I'm not saying that can't happen for him. But yeah, I mean, they weren't great quotes.
The problem too is, to this entire discussion, how do you get the fans back now? Because if the collapse was the only blemish, it's bad, and it's going to create a lot of upset fans, Trevor. But to your point, it goes back to Joe initially announcing the payroll is going to be cut. Okay, that's bad. I agree with you. I think the TV thing was the worst thing, because then fans are blacked out, and you're not streaming, and then you collapse. So what's your thought? Like, what would be your opinion of how you try to dig yourself out of this hole to get those fans back? Or some of them back? I'm
not really sure. I would love to be a part of some sort of team that helps out with that. I feel like that kind of needs to happen within the Twins organization. There needs to be some sort of, I know they have a leadership council there that's trying to figure everything out, but where do you start? I mean, it's if you're not going to up payroll, so the number one thing would be to add some players and try to get some fan interest. Hey, listen, we stumbled here. The starting pitching wasn't what we thought it was going to be. We had to rely on some young guys. So this is what we're going to do. So whether that's you trade, whether that's you sign somebody, that might not happen because the payroll might stay flat. And I don't know how much money do they have to spend if everyone's like $5 million, right?
I think,
isn't that true?
It's really tight, like, because you're losing Farmer and Kepler, but you're adding Pablo
More
Lopez goes up, Correa goes up, and then there's a bunch of ARB guys that you have to make decisions on. You're not like taking a bunch of savings from the guys that are leaving. It's going to be pretty flat.
Okay, I mean, then you have to give the fans something. You have to figure something out, whether that is, hey, guess what we're doing? We're slashing beer prices throughout the summer.
Yeah,
something like that has to happen.
Yes.
You have to make it palatable for people to come to the field again. And,
so to your point, like give and take. For the last 12 months, if you're a fan, you took $30 million off payroll. You took the games off TV. You took our excitement at the trade deadline and did nothing with it. And then you took 95% playoff chance and wiped it down to 0%. You took 4 big things from us as fans, right? What do you at least give us a couple beers for cheap? You got to give them something. Yeah, I don't even know if that's enough. It is a very, I think
I think I think the Twins are in an interesting position, and they're going to really have to sit down and figure out, yes, how to number one, put a winning product back on the field, because that obviously helps a lot. Although even this year, like, the attendance was down, they were in the playoff race pretty much the entire time. So to start, I think it's either you got to make some big splashy trade and bring somebody in, which I think they could do that. I've been saying that for a long time. They got one of the best farm systems in baseball. Like, let's go use that. Like, that's the one way to drum up fan interest is, wow, we just traded for what guy? That's awesome. And then, like, if you announced concession prices are slashed by whatever percent this year, or I don't know, like that's at least a stepping point to getting the fans back to the yard.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to be a slow burn, dude, just because if they're not going to be big players in the offseason, whether that's in free agency or trade, and I mean, they were a playoff above average team for 70%, 65% of this season. And the only game that I felt where, wow, the energy here is bleeping awesome was the doubleheader in August against Cleveland that the Twins swept in both those games. Like, the ballpark was packed for both those nights. It was sweet. It was awesome. But that was it. Like, I look back and I think at all the games they had early against Seattle, which was a good team, and there was 12,000 fans there. Like, it didn't help that they literally collapsed at a very bad time in late August when, you typically are having big crowds show up to watch you hopefully get closer and closer to clinch. But until they legit make a significant addition or aggressiveness, like, if it's the same thing where they're a 15-game over 500 team in July next year, and they aren't adding at the deadline, like, I don't see any way that fans just completely buy back into this team.
Do we think that this team has a chance to be 15 games over 500 competitively in the middle of the summer next year?
A lot of things have to go right. A lot of steps forward have to be taken, especially, I think, from the pitching staff. I mean, that's where I see it a lot. Obviously, we have some guys there. If Joe Ryan's back doing his thing, if Pablo looks like he can look, I think Bailey Ober is a shoe-in for a very good starting pitcher in the big leagues. And then we have some sort of step forward from some of the young guys. I just think that they got it. Yeah, they have to do something. I'm like racking my brain right now how to get people to come back to the ballpark is something they have to figure out. I don't even know if making that big trade and bringing someone a big name in is enough to do it right now.
You've got to be on TV and streaming. Like, I think you have to be streaming games. I don't see how you can't be. I mean, just from a starting point, offering up, and it's going to sound stupid because it's 2024, offering up your product is a huge start. I mean, sounds dumb, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
I got hit. That was the biggest thing on my social media that I got hit with during the year was, hey, like, wish I could watch the games. Can't believe I can't watch the games. And then it was a lot of people saying, I'm out. If I can't watch the games, what am I supposed to do? I think that's a problem throughout Major League Baseball is the fact that going to a game has become a once a year type of expense for a family. One game. Yep. One game is like too much for a family to bring it. Say you're a mom and a dad and you got 3 kids. I mean, going to the game is going to cost you what? At least, I'm going to say, at least $500. For a family of 4.
Yeah.
Couple hundred. I mean, yeah. It seems like it's gotten to the point now where I don't know. Maybe I'm just like reminiscing and it's like a back in my day type thing. But
go to the movie theater for just 25 cents.
I like your idea though.
But people used to go.
I like your idea.
Yeah, people used to go to 20 games a year, and it was great. And I feel like now going to a game is like, hey, we'll go to 1, we'll go to 2, but it just becomes so expensive to do it that I think that they need to figure something with that out. And that's not just the Twins. I think that's league wide. I think that's sports wide. I mean, try to go to a Laker game is insane. It's insane, dude. My brother's, talks about all the time. He's got 2 girls that play basketball. He's like, man, I want to take him to a Laker game, but it's like it's between the tickets and like if we go and get some food there, it's like $1,000.
Yeah, it's wild.
And it's just, so that's something that they have to figure out. But yeah, I do think there needs to be some sort of committee, some sort of group that gets together to figure out how to make the Twins cool again. I think that's I'm being serious. I think that they'd have to do something like that.
When were the Twins at their coolest in like the last 25 years? So 2010 for sure, right? Cool new stadium.
Well, new stadium helps
Jim
out.
Thome and Mauer coming off MVP. Morneau.
Bomba Squad was
Bomba Squad was cool.
That was a cool year.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
People bought in,
but there wasn't. I think there wasn't a lot of people that Twins fans grew up with. I guess I don't know. I think back to like even before 2010. That's where I would go when you have this homegrown talent of Morneau and Mauer, and then you have Torrey Hunter there, and like I just think that there is. I think that was when the Twins.
The campaign that worked best, I think, of all of their campaigns was the Get to Know 'Em campaign in the early 2000s when that whole crew came
Christian
up.
Guzman, Dougie Minkiewicz.
And that was a great slogan. Because that to me, to your point, Trev, the Get to Know 'Em campaign was when the Twins went from being this losing franchise that was decidedly uncool to being cool. So like they need something like that, but that also came organically and with that whole group that came up. Speaking of that, I got a question on Royce. So it's very clear he's disgruntled. Like it's very clear from his quotes. He's a nice enough guy, but there's definitely some snipe there. You played this game. If you were to sit him down right now, and I understand this is not all his fault, but I also think that he's confused about how, to your point, to handle it. What would you tell him?
I would sit him down and I would ask him to go over the things that are bothering him. I would mention to him that I'm on his side about having to switch positions in the middle of a playoff race. I thought that was silly. I just didn't think that was right. And then I would tell him that, look, man, no one is bigger than the game. That's just the truth. We're seeing that with Tom Brady. I don't know. I was talking about, I don't want to get into that, whatever.
No, save your Tom Brady. Is this a broadcast rant? A Tom Brady broadcast rant?
I thought that when he was talking back to Baker Mayfield, that was silly. Like, just take the high road, bro. Everyone knows you have Super Bowl rings. Like, you don't always have to remind people of that. And again, the game would move on just fine if Tom Brady never spoke about the game again. You have to remember that, dude. Like, the game is just bigger than any one person.
And let Baker have this right now. Baker's had a rough ride, and he's balling right now.
He had a chance right there really to take the high road, and he didn't do it. And I think part of that is because it's been bad with his broadcasting start. But I would say, look, as much as you want the game, like, this is your life, this is your career, you're here, you want to do everything, you have to remember that the game is bigger than anyone. So you have to treat it that way, whether it is your quotes, whether it is the work that you put in. You just have to remember that the game is going to go on well after you're gone, all these things. So you have to treat it that way, and you have to have some real perspective. I think that he's doing everything right. I don't like some of the stuff he said. I think that he just needs to always try to take the high road when you're talking to the media, because the game is hard enough, and you just don't want to make it harder on yourself having to answer these questions. Now people are going to say, "Hey, what did you mean by those quotes?" And it's going to be all over your phone. And these guys are on their phone. They read things. They understand what people are talking about them. So you're making it harder on yourself there. Like, really, I think it's just about focusing on what you can control. And for him, that's just this offseason. Hey, go work at second base and be the best second baseman that you can be. I think that's still the plan. I'm assuming that's the plan for the Twins. Go do that. Put everything you can into that, so when the season comes around, it feels like second nature. I think he could really do it with the full off season. During the regular season, him trying to do it, I think that was stupid. Really, I really do. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I would tell him, and I think that you have to try to not just limit distractions. And I think he didn't necessarily do that great a job. Like, putting the quote out there, "I don't do slumps." Like, I loved it.
Then immediately goes into a 2-month slump. Yeah.
I love the confidence, but that can stay in here, man. And that can stay like in the locker room. Like, you could tell your freaking teammate, "I don't do slumps." Don't go put that out there, Because baseball, what does everyone say? There's two types of people that have been humbled and people about to be humbled. That's the truth. That is the truth. So don't put that out there. Like, really, it's about kind of go on the field, and I want him to be as boisterous as possible. I love that. That's what brings people into the game. That's what people want to see that. But then when you get in front of cameras, really mellow out. And I think for the most part he has that. And I think when you slump, you get defensive. And then you want to start pointing fingers at somebody else. And it's something that happens naturally. I don't think that's really his personality. I don't think he's a bad guy. I don't think that he's trying to point fingers. But like when you slump for the first time in your career and you're like, dang, like it comes out. So I think that's the number one thing I would say. Just limit the distractions. Go work. Be the player that you are. You're going to get so many accolades, and this game's going to give you so much. The game is going to give this guy a ton. You got to give back by being just putting the work in and kind of, I don't know, like we just talked about with Correa and Joe Pohlad, just like put it all on you, like put all the bad on you, and just spread like the love through the media. I think that'll help him a ton. I don't know. There's a lot of things we could talk about.
Yeah. Hey, before we say goodbye, and by the way, you've been awesome on this show. Thank you for doing this all year. I know the audience has loved just hearing your perspective in long form and the work you do on Bally Sports North, which, by the way, the news that came out like an hour ago is that the Diamond Sports Council has told the U.S. Bankruptcy Court in the Southern District of Texas, for anyone who's scoring at home, that it plans to drop nearly all of the remaining Bally's MLB contracts with a plan to only retain the Atlanta Braves. Yeah. So we'll see where this goes. But Diamond Sports has basically said, hey, the other, whatever it is, 10 teams that we've had a contract with, go away. We just want to work with the Braves. I don't know. Maybe they come back around on a couple teams, but this would seem to open the door for the Twins and a lot of these teams to find a different TV solution next year.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I love doing the show. This was actually a lot of fun. When you approached me about doing it, I wasn't really sure about it. But now, look, I love it. I'd love to do it again next year. How about that? If you have,
we might even hit you up for some hot stove stuff this offseason too. Okay. A little reckless speculation season.
God, I love hot stove.
I
wish the hot stove was hotter. But
yeah, I was going to say we need stuff to happen though.
Maybe we should be the leadership council. We're like the fellowship, of the Twins.
Yeah, we were. I mean, we tried to do that on Monday, but it was more like you guys sit down and we're going to just yell at you for 45 minutes, and I don't know that they take that too well. But my last question to you was going to be: you've been known in the past to nail World Series predictions.
Oh yeah.
What is your current standing World Series prediction?
So I've had some good ones. I did the Braves over Houston in 6. That was nice. That was hitting it right on the head, games and all. That was beautiful. The following year, I picked Brewers over the White Sox, and neither team made the playoffs. So I've had some bad ones as well. I'll take that. This year, it's before the season, I picked Phillies over Astros. So the rematch of 2022, Bryce Harper gets his ring. Still in play. I mean, look. I mean, the Astros are one game away from being out of it. So we'll see. I'm a big believer in Bryce Harper getting a ring in Philadelphia, and I feel like now is as good a team as they're going to have. So
Go Padres. That's what I say.
Dude, Padres are playing legit, man. They got the vibes. They have the vibes for sure.
Hell
yeah. Awesome, man.
Gosh.
Yeah, I think Padres would be a blast because also, dude, the Padres validate. Coach? The Padres validate what you've been saying, which is give to your fans, and they will give to you 40,000 fans a game.
I think so. It helps that they're the only thing in
for sure
San Diego. That helps a lot. And I mean, the Twins have the surrounding area of Target Field that could kind of maybe that gets built up. Do the Pohlads own those buildings? Probably.
Some of them they do, yeah, for sure.
That's what teams are doing around the league. They're building up the areas around the stadium to get people in, to give them another reason additional stream of revenue that doesn't show up on the books, obviously. But like, this is what you have to do. You have to make people feel like they're getting a deal every once in a while. Let me make a little rant right here.
Yes.
I live in California. Everything's expensive out here. My gosh. I went camping over the weekend, and at the campsite there's like a little general store, and they have a bar in there, and I ordered the drink, and I was like, you guys, I think you guys messed up. You only charged me $6 for this drink, and I ordered like an old fashioned. Like, no, that's the price. $6 for an old fashioned.
Have you ever, Dex, have you ever had a $6 old fashioned in your life?
No, it is pretty good.
Maybe in like small town
Dex
Wisconsin.
is going camping soon.
Yeah, I'm going camping.
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly where to go. So I was like thinking to myself, I was like, when's the last time that I felt like I like got a deal on something? And it's been a long time. I think a lot of Americans feel that right now, with kind of where we're at with inflation and stuff. If you make someone feel like they're getting a deal,
Trev, you just nailed it. If they provide $6 old fashions at Target Field next year, 35,000 fans a game. Let's get it.
Twins lost. I don't care. I'm so drunk. I can't
Who
see
cares?
Love the
Let's
Twins.
go. Brandy or bourbon?
I gotta
I'm
get an
being
Uber.
serious, guys. Make someone feel like they're getting a deal. That's like, gosh,
Get
man,
your
like,
fans so drunk they don't know what's going on the field.
It doesn't have to be alcohol related. Okay.
Well, I mean, but
But it could be.
you open
It
the
could
door. I mean,
Gosh, man, I don't know. I don't know what
form
to
the
do, man.
committee. Call the Twins.
I want the Fellowship of the Twins. That's what we're gonna call it.
Form the committee.
It's not a bad idea. Yeah, we gather over old smoky old fashions and talk about how to fix this.
I don't need the smoke in mine.
Yeah,
I don't need the smoke in my Manhattan.
Yeah.
I don't taste. I like him. Like, yeah, it tastes fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Awesome, man. Coach Trevor Plouffe from John Boy Media, talking baseball today. Enjoy watching other teams not named the Twins play in these playoff
Central
games.
Division, man.
Attention.
Central Division's on fire.
Royals, let's go, man. Scooble shoved yesterday too.
I told my wife, I said, the next 3 days, I'm going to be sitting on the couch watching baseball all day long. And it's a job, babe.
Yeah.
It's a job.
Oh, you're working. You're on the clock.
I'm
right
working.
now.
Research and development.
You're on the
Huh?
clock.
That's right. Yep.
All right, guys.
All right.
Thanks,
Tomorrow
Trev.
we'll do more on the TV situation tomorrow on the SKOR North Twins Show. We'll see you guys. Appreciate you.